What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole. If you want to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too, as it really helps out our channel. And don't forget you can follow us on podcast too now, so you can take us with you wherever you go, and you can even join the channel through YouTube membership or head on over to Patreon with different levels and tiers and things like that. And with that being said, let's get straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from If I Died Before I Skeet. Would I be the arsehole if I told my mum that I didn't want my dog to become a service dog for my brother? Basically, ever since I was like in kindergarten, I've been expected to take care of my oldest brother, who has a seizure disorder and cerebral palsy. A few months ago, I was given a puppy by my grandma since her chihuahuas had a litter. Me and this puppy clicked really well, and my grandma specified that he was only mine and no one else's, since usually the dogs I get end up getting sucked up and becoming the family dog. Since my parents are divorced, this made me happy since I'd be able to take him with me wherever I went, instead of leaving at one household while I went to the other. Recently, my mum started talking about making my dog a service dog. I got really happy because I assumed she meant for me. I have diagnosed anxiety. However, my parents won't pay for medication since they don't want me getting addicted. She corrected me and said she meant for my brother. I told her that I didn't want that since he was my dog. For information, my dog does not like my brother. My brother also definitely does not like dogs. We have to tell him not to kick dogs because it's his first instinct whenever they get too close, just to smell him or lick him. All of our other dogs are large German shepherds who know not to get too close. However, my dog is a friendly and curious chihuahua and is very small. It would not survive a kick from a 25-year-old man. I also told my mum that I want him to be my dog, and that if he became my brother's service dog, I wouldn't be able to be with my dog as much, as he lives with my mum more days of the week than I do. Also that when I go to college next year, I wouldn't be able to take him with me. Am I the arsehole? Also sorry for the long rambling. Edit, wow, this blew up in my sleep. Going to read all the replies now. Also, here's a picture of my dog for anyone's curious. Oh my god, that's one cute little face. Edit 2, thanks for all the advice. However, I'm not going to rehome my dogs, as some suggested, or kick my mum out of my life. Yeah, she's an arse sometimes, but this is kind of an extreme option. Now, I don't know too much about service dogs and what service dog is right for the job and all that sort of thing. I see a lot of like labs being used as service dogs, but can a chihuahua be used as like one? Can they be used as a service dog? I'm not totally sure on that, but even if that is the case, I would say hell no, you're not the arsehole. It's your dog. Your grandma specified that it's your dog. And your brother doesn't even like dogs. It just makes no sense from whatever your mother's doing. That is some entitlement right there. But let's head straight down to the comments below to see what we can find. Ray Cow says, not the arsehole, it's your dog. Plus, I don't think a chihuahua would make a good service dog. And your brother hates dogs. Also, your mum sounds like they have a major favoritism towards your brother, which is uncool. You need love and affection too. Regular Tail 108 says, not the arsehole. And what service dog your mum expects such a small dog to play for your brother's disability? Hopeful Cookie says, not the arsehole, it is your dog and you bonded with him. The fact that your dog could be injured by your brother is more proof your dog should not be a service animal. Also, I'm sure your dog would miss you if you suddenly can't take him with you as much, or not at all in the case of college. I would recommend you get your dog registered as a service animal for yourself in order to have an easier time bringing him to college. Mellow Tadpole says, not the arsehole, it's your dog, no one else's. I don't understand why they're trying to give a service dog to someone who is uncomfortable with dogs. The stuff about medication also makes more clear the favoritism they have. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. Our next story is from Mum with a bunch of numbers. Am I the arsehole for forcing my daughter to interact with her aunt? My daughter, 16 female, has been refusing to interact with her aunt, my sister. Aunt, who I'll call Helen, comes over every Monday and Thursday to bring dinner and catch up with the family. My husband and I enjoy her company, and it's nice to have meals already made for 2 out of 7 days. My daughter, who I'll call Amy, has been avoiding her aunt like she's the plague. On Mondays and Thursdays, Amy goes to either her friend's or boyfriend's house. She leaves at around 10 AM and won't come home until 10:30. We know that Amy isn't doing anything bad because she always tells us the night where she's going, and will always come home before her curfew. I also have a tracker, which she knows about, on her phone, so I know where she is. Amy has been doing this since the beginning of July. Recently, Helen has noticed that Amy is never home when she's over. Helen loves Amy and really wants to spend time with her, but Amy refuses. On Thursday, after she came home and Helen left, I asked Amy why she keeps avoiding her aunt, but then Amy blew up at me. Amy started yelling and crying about how horrible Aunt Helen is to her, and how she always makes Amy feel like crap. Amy also said that Helen is very mentally abusive towards her and is a gaslighter. I got very angry and told Amy that she's overreacting, that Helen does/says things out of love and that she can't help it. Amy continued to yell and cry about how horrible her aunt is. I told Amy that she was acting like a spoiled brat, and I proceeded to take her phone and all of her electronics away from her. Today I talked to Amy and said that she now has to stay home on Mondays and Thursdays and spend an hour with Aunt Helen. If Amy doesn't, then she'll be grounded for 2 weeks and she won't have her electronics for that time either. Amy started to cry, probably trying to guilt trip me, and she begged to at least only do this on Mondays. I said no, and I reminded of her punishment if she refuses to comply. Amy called me an arsehole and said things that really hurt my feelings. I told Helen about this and she thanked me for having my daughter stay home. After all, she really does love Amy. My husband said that I went overboard with taking her things away, but believes that Amy is being a brat. So Reddit, am I the arsehole for forcing my daughter to interact with her aunt? I think that I'm in the right, but I want to see what you'll think. Edit, Amy has told me some bad things Helen has said/done to her in the past. I understand those things and I've talked to Helen about those things. Helen has apologised and wants to make things up with Amy, but Amy has refused. Edit, so I don't have to respond to every question. When Amy was younger, she spent a lot of time over at Helen's house. Helen's the type of person who says what's on her mind. She never holds back. Helen would tell Amy if she's eaten too much/too little, that she looked bad, didn't look pretty, as well as other things. Amy claims that Helen would force her to eat a lot, even if Amy was uncomfortable. There are a lot of things that Amy refuses to tell me, so all I know is that Helen has made a few comments here and there. I must also add that these comments were made years ago. Edit again, I really love Amy and love Helen too. Helen admits to her wrongdoings, but Amy is the one who doesn't want to sit down and accept the apology. And you know what? She doesn't have to accept that apology. That's her choice. If this person's done something to her so bad that she doesn't want to accept an apology, then, you know, that's down to her. You can't force her to do that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And don't downplay it by saying it was years ago, because in that South, that's just as bad. But let's take a look at the comments below to see what we can find. AFGG87 says, you're the arsehole. First, you do not get to minimise your daughter's feelings. Second, you do not get to minimise your daughter's feelings. This is how you ensure your daughter will come to hate you, start to rebel, and ultimately cut you out of her life when she moves out. If you can't get out your own way to take your daughter's feelings seriously, then you're failing hard at being a proper parent. Edit, thank you to everyone for all the awards. I'm really happy to see others echo my sentiment. For everyone out there who's had their feelings minimised, my heart goes out to you. I spent so much of my youth minimising my own feelings out of fear, that by the time I found my voice, I wasn't really sure who I was anymore. It took many years to learn what my real voice is. Don't let anyone take yours away from you. Dazed and Confused says, you're the arsehole. Seriously, when a teen avoids adults like that, literally do not want to be in the house with a person, it's likely that what she's saying is absolutely true. You're putting your sister above your daughter here, and it's definitely going to cost you in the future. Edit, as I reread, I'm seeing so many red flags. You have a tracker on Amy. Your response to your 16-year-old daughter saying she doesn't want to be anywhere near your sister is she's a brat. Her crying is to guilt trip you, yet you give zero context on why she's avoiding Helen so much. This reminds me of so much of the missing reason. Edit 2, as I read comments I'm getting horrified. Your sister has been both physically forcing someone to eat and verbally, not pretty, looks bad, and others, abusive since you were kids, but is now okay because she's trying to get better. Not only that, you invite her, she comes over twice a week. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 2. And our next story is from Photograph Signal. Am I the arsehole for getting a family deported? I know the title sounds horrible, but please hear me out. I, 30 male, was in a relationship with my ex, Sarah, 25 female, for a year. She was extremely possessive and emotionally abusive. It didn't work out. We broke up in February of this year. Sarah's lived here in the US since she was 17, but she entered illegally with her parents. Her parents, and her older brother are undocumented. I always knew this. I think our immigration system is harsh and unfair, and I wish it would be easier for them to get residency. Anyway, in March, Sarah began incessantly calling me and messaging me being rude, calling me a coward, arsehole, etc. After the first call or two, I stopped answering, but she messaged me across all social media platforms, email, and sometimes calling/messaging me from different numbers, so I couldn't even block her. At some points I'd receive 5+ calls a day from her, as well as several messages. Always offensive. I would occasionally reply only telling her to stop and that I want nothing to do with her, but that didn't stop her. After this went on for weeks, I had enough and I called the cops and reported her for harassing me. What happened next is unclear to me, since I'm not aware of the specific legal action or if other offences were committed. But the police showing up at her family home resulted in her parents and her brothers being detained and then deported to Mexico. According to her, they were detained for weeks before being deported. I know this because since getting to Mexico, she's been messaging me again and is now of course furious. I've verified with certainty that her whole family is now in Mexico and there are new tenants in their old household. I feel really awful. As much as I've grown to despise Sarah, I don't wish any harm on her or her family, yet I basically destroyed all of their lives permanently. Am I the asshole? I don't think you can be the arsehole in this situation. You said at the start that she was extremely possessive and emotionally abusive, and with all people that's in abusive relationships, they need to get out ASAP, and then she's the one that kept contacting you. So no, Sarah got herself in trouble by kept contacting you. You had to report that in the end for harassment, which again got herself in trouble, so you can't be the arsehole in this situation, in my opinion. But let's go down to the comments below to see what we can find. Cactus Blossom says, not the arsehole, you didn't call ICE, you called the regular police because she was harassing you. That's a normal reaction from someone in your position. Logical Marsupial says, it sounds like a terrible situation for most everyone involved, but you're not the arsehole here. You called the cops for a legitimate reason. Sarah's harassment was out of control and she refused to stop after repeated warnings. Getting law enforcement involved is a logical next step. It seems like you only wanted to get her a stern talking to from the police and create a paper trail in case her behaviour escalated. I agree that the immigration system sucks and ICE are arseholes here too, but it's ultimately Sarah's fault that her family was deported. She likely knew that her and her family were walking a thin line and she put them at risk by engaging in criminal behaviour. It's terrible that her and her family had to endure being detained and deported, but that's not on you. Play arsehole games, win arsehole prizes. Jan says, not the arsehole, Sarah got herself and her whole family deported with her behaviour. Harassment will often get you deported to the cops. You'd have thought she'd have thought about their situation before doing something to cause such attention to herself. Is it horrible that her actions had a knock-on effect for her entire family? Yes. Is that your fault? No. It sounds like you put up with and tried to ignore the harassment for as long as you could. I Love Fame and Diagram says, this is a really horrible situation. I gotta say not the arsehole, but I feel horrible for her family. Calling the cops on her after she was harassing you for weeks was completely justified. Her whole family getting deported is her fault in my opinion. What did she expect? That she could harass you for an indefinite amount of time and you would do nothing? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and it's horrible for the rest of her family got dragged into this. However, I don't think it's your fault. Wow. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from Vacation Throwaway. Am I the arsehole for disinviting my sister from a dream vacation I specifically arranged for her after she invited someone else? I'm sorry for the long ass title, but I was not sure how else to word it. Also, just to clarify, this takes place several months ago, before the world started ending. Not sure if it's relevant to the story, but my sister is 32 and I am 29. Me and my sister are very different people, and despite the fact we love each other, we never got along all that well. Part of that is largely because of our different routes in life, I think. When I was 14, my sister got pregnant, got kicked out by her parents, and I didn't see her much for a long time after that. When I moved out at 18 and started going to college, contact between my sister and I became more regular. She had 2 kids at this point, both from the same guy, but he had walked out on them a year prior. She wasn't doing well psychologically or financially. Skipping way ahead, I since graduated, got a great job, and I've been working my way up the ladder since. That is to say, since I do not have kids yet. I have way too much disposable income. As a result, I decided to arrange for a 3-week dream vacation for me and my sister, as into a location she had been talking about since we were children. My girlfriend was fine with us going. Our parents were going to watch her kids. I made sure to arrange everything before even inviting her and deciding on a final date, as she had to get off work. When I told her, she was excited beyond belief. She even cried. We agreed on a date to leave and return. Problems started a few weeks after when I found out she invited 2 of her friends. They were to pay for their own ticket, but stay in our hotel rooms. So I asked her about it and she told me about it. I immediately shot it down. I had no interest in spending 3 weeks as a fourth wheel, as I was also not going to share my room with a random female friend of hers. We had a massive argument since apparently they had already ordered their plane tickets. Again, I told her no. This turned into a larger fight about me never doing anything for her, since apparently I'm supposed to use my money to make her life easier, and to make a long story short, we started yelling and I disinvited her at the end of the call. Afterwards, she tried to guilt me into just paying for the vacation for her and a friend of hers. I declined. When that didn't work, she started apologising. I told her to F off. Again, to make it short, me and my girlfriend had an amazing vacation. My relationship with my sister is pretty much over though. Was I the arsehole here? Should I have given ground? Had to cut quite a bit of additional information to fit the character limit, so sorry in advance. How entitled do you have to be to do that kind of thing? I just never understand it. Person generously arranged a 3-week vacation for him, and they decided to just randomly invite another person along without even talking to you first. Who the fuck does that? Seriously. And it's one of those ones where I would have just loved to have been a fly on the wall, just watching her face when you said you were disinviting her from the trip. I would have loved to have seen that. Let's go to the comments below to see what we can find. Witches and Stars says, not the arsehole, it was you and her. She's being greedy and selfish. Cobalt 8 says, not the arsehole, she said that I never do anything for her. What the fuck, you were literally about to take her on a vacation. Your sister got some whack logic. SKZ says, not the arsehole, I could have understood her asking, although saying no still could have been okay, but for her to invite them without asking was rude. To then pretend you owe her something was even ruder. I would have made the same choice if I were you. Colonel Kazlik says, not the arsehole, your sister just took too much for granted. It's like she saw it as a gift to her when it really was a vacation for the both of you. But you and the girlfriend had fun, so don't worry about that. Also, for clarity, are you a girl? If you're not, that makes it much stranger. Your sister just inviting girls to sleep in the room while you're in a relationship is a weird one. And OP replies to that saying, no, I am a guy. That is why I absolutely refuse to even consider it. I mean, awkward at least from my side. My girlfriend would have had a major issue with that, obviously. I think most girlfriends would, right? Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 4. Anyway guys, once again, thank you for being here today. You are truly appreciated as always, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love to you. Goodbye.